I seek to learn and share with you my own journey and path of learning and understanding on the level I am. The interpretation and views are my own. The Prophet, on Laws by Kahlil Gibran. Then a lawyer said, "But what of our laws, master?" And he answered, "You delight in laying down laws, yet you delight more in breaking them. Like children playing by the ocean who build sand towers with constancy, and then destroying them with laughter. But while you build your sand tower, the ocean brings more sand to the shore, and when you destroy them, the ocean laughs with you. Verily, the ocean laughs always with the innocent. But what of those to whom life is not an ocean, and man-made laws are not sand towers, but to whom life is a rock, and the law a chisel with which they would carve it in their own likeness? What of the cripple who hates dancers? What of the ox who loves his yoke, and deems the elk and deer of the forest stray and vagrant things? What of the old serpent who cannot shed his skin, and calls all others naked and shameless? And of him who comes early to the wedding feast, and when overfed and tired goes his way, saying that all feasts are violation and all feasters lawbreakers? What shall I say of these save that they too stand in the sunlight, but with their backs to the sun? They see only their shadow, and their shadows are their laws. And what is the sun to them but a caster of shadows? And what is it to acknowledge the laws but to stoop down and trace their shadow upon the earth? But you who walk facing the sun, what image drawn on the earth can hold you? You who travel with the wind, what weather vane shall direct your course? What man's law shall bind you if you break your yoke, but upon no man's prison door? What laws shall you fear if you dance but stumble against no man's iron chains? And who is he that shall bring you to judgment if you tear off your garment, yet leave it in no man's path? People of Orphalese, you can muffle the drum, and you can loosen the strings of the lyre, but who shall command the skylark not to sing? Let's dive into On Laws the way we've been journeying together. The Prophet, on Laws by Kahlil Gibran. Philosophical and psychological analysis. 1. You delight in laying down laws, yet you delight more in breaking them. Philosophical view. Gibran begins with a paradox: humanity's fascination with order, and its simultaneous rebellion against it. We create boundaries and systems, not to worship them, but to explore their limits. Like children, we are both builders and destroyers. Psychological insight. This reflects the tension between the superego, order, control, and the ID, desire, spontaneity. Laws often arise from our longing for safety, but they become suffocating when they suppress the soul's need for freedom and expression. 2. Like children playing by the ocean who build sand towers and destroy them with laughter. Reflection. This image captures our playfulness with structure. The soul builds meaning, systems, rules, but not to trap itself. There's joy in the dance of creation and deconstruction. Even destruction, when conscious, is not rebellion, it's renewal. Philosophical parallel. Gibran reminds us that life itself is dynamic. Static laws cannot hold a moving spirit. The ocean, the divine or higher truth, doesn't mourn what is destroyed. It simply brings more sand, more possibility. 3. But what of those to whom life is a rock, and the law a chisel with which they would carve it in their own likeness? Philosopher's view. Now Gibran turns to the rigid souls, those who view life as immovable and law as a means of control. This is the realm of fundamentalism, where laws are not guidance but weapons of judgment. Psychological view. These are the ones caught in defensive identity, those who fear uncertainty and cling to rules to protect their ego or worldview. Their laws are projections of their own wounds and fear of transformation. 4. What of the cripple who hates dancers? Insight. This is a striking metaphor, those who resent others' freedom, because they cannot feel it themselves. It reminds me how often judgment comes not from righteousness, but from wounded envy. Philosophical thought. Freedom can offend those in chains. When we reject joy in others, it often reveals what we've denied in ourselves. 5. They see only their shadow, and their shadows are their laws. Union death, this is pure shadow projection. The law they enforce is shaped not by wisdom, but by what they refuse to see in themselves. They cannot face the sun, truth, light, change, so they cling to the shape their fear casts. Personal reflection, this made me pause. How often do we trace shadows instead of turning around to face the light? Law becomes a hiding place, not a guiding flame. 6. You who walk facing the sun, what image drawn on the earth can hold you? Philosophical insight, to the awakened soul, no external law can define its path. It walks with the sun, with truth, clarity, and ever-evolving light. Gibran isn't rejecting law, he's reminding us that inner alignment is the highest law. Psychological view, this is self-actualization, living from inner values rather than external expectations. The evolved being doesn't rebel for the sake of rebellion, it simply outgrows the need for man-made chains. 7. What man's law shall bind you if you break your yoke, but upon no man's prison door? Recognition, this is such a freeing idea, freedom that doesn't harm. You can break your chains without tearing down others. Gibran affirms non-destructive liberation, a revolution of self, not against others. 8. You can muffle the drum, loosen the lyre, but who shall command the skylark not to sing? Final reflection, the soul, once awakened, cannot be silenced. No matter how society tries to suppress spirit, it will sing. The skylark represents the irrepressible voice of truth, beauty, freedom. Closing thought, this chapter teaches me that true law arises from love, not fear. That the soul must not be chained, and that even in structure, we must remain fluid, like the ocean, laughing with the innocent, singing with the wind. Thank you for sharing in my journey.